sympathetic expression she'd perfected over the years. "Well," she said softly, though not quietly enough, "you've always been better with your hands anyway. But don't even ask for a handout from Lauren, because you won't get one." Dad chuckled. "You're better off sticking to your mechanic job. Less complicated. You wouldn't know what to do with actual money anyway." Lauren smiled at me, not cruelly, just casually, like this was all perfectly natural. I stood slowly, figuring that was my cue to leave. Maybe Grandpa left me one of his old tools. That would have been enough. "Young man, please sit down," Mr. Caldwell said firmly. "We aren't finished." Something in his voice made everyone pause. I lowered myself back into the chair and covered up my surprise. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a second folder, noticeably thicker than the first. Mom's smile faded immediately. "What you've just heard," Mr. Caldwell said slowly, "was Mr. Franklin's will, dated 2020. However, 6 months before his passing, he created an additional trust." The room went silent. Mom shook her head almost immediately, like she already knew where this was going. "To my grandson Daniel," Mr. Caldwell read, his voice steady, "who showed up every Saturday without being asked, who never treated my time as an obligation, and who never once asked me what any of this was worth, I leave the following: my investment portfolio valued at $21 million, the commercial property located at 1785 Westfield Avenue, and a personal letter." My hands went cold. Mom's face drained of color. Lauren's smile vanished. Mr. Caldwell handed me an envelope. My fingers trembled as I opened it. "Daniel," the letter read, "if you're reading this, things likely went the way I expected. Lauren inherited the cars. Your parents told you to keep working. That's fine. I changed this trust 6 months ago after Lauren visited me, asking me to sell several cars so she could invest in a startup her boyfriend was involved in. When I refused, she told me I didn't understand modern money and that I was being stubborn. Your mother agreed. That's when I realized what mattered to them. You never asked for anything. You just came by, helped, and listened. I don't believe character shows up in big moments. I think it shows up in quiet ones. This is yours because you earned my trust, not because you needed it. Make me proud." "Grandpa." The room felt impossibly quiet. "This can't be legal," Mom said, her voice rising. The man was senile. He wasn't thinking clearly. "Ma'am, please," Mr. Caldwell said calmly. "Your father underwent 3 independent evaluations before writing this. He was of sound mind." Dad leaned forward, his tone suddenly warm. "Daniel, this is a family matter. We should talk about this further. Before you waste." "Talk about what?" I asked quietly. "Talk about how you made sure I knew I wasn't worth your time or attention. How you told me to know my place every time you chose Lauren over me." Lauren spoke next. "You're seriously going to accept this? You can't take this away from me. I'm your sister." "He's not taking anything from you," Mr. Caldwell interjected. "The vehicle collection remains yours." "But that's not fair," Mom snapped. "Lauren deserves security. She deserves it because she needs it more than him. Daniel literally works at a garage." I swallowed, then spoke. "Actually, I don't just work there. I manage the garage now. The owner retired last year." It sounded pathetic, but that was my attempt at fighting back against their cruel words. Dad's jaw tightened. "We'll contest this," he said. "You're welcome to try," Mr. Caldwell replied evenly. However, Daniel's grandfather included a clause stating that any contest will result in the immediate liquidation of the vehicle collection and donation of proceeds to charity, meaning if you contest, Lauren will lose what she just got. Mom started yelling then, real yelling, about manipulation and betrayal and how Grandpa had been turned against them. Security had to escort her out while she kept shouting. I walked out of that office holding the folder, feeling like the ground beneath me had shifted. It wasn't the money, not really. It was the letter, the quiet acknowledgement that someone had seen me all along. Behind me, I could still hear Mom arguing in the hallway, Dad trying to calm her down, Lauren insisting none of this was fair. Grandpa hadn't just left me money, he'd left me proof that being overlooked didn't mean being unseen.